I've been visiting more people now that things are opening up and stuff. And I went to visit one of my friends who I haven't seen since before any of the pandemic. You know, I haven't seen him in a whole year. And he lives with his mom, his dad, his grandma, and his cousin. And it was so good to see all of them hang out a little bit, catch up and stuff. But while I was there, not sure how to. While I was, basically, my boy's grandma got a crush on me, and I don't know what to do about it. And I heard a couple ahs. This is not a Hallmark crush, all right? This woman has carnal intentions towards my body, okay? She's not messing around. Okay, I was hanging out there, and first of all, she wait till everybody leave the room to hit on me. That's how you know she a predator, okay? She wait till she can make it he said, she said, right? So then everybody left the room for a different reason. She got right up on me, just in my face, all over me. And I tried to let her down easy. I tried to make it scientific about the pandemic, you know? I was like, ma'am, we should social distance. Because, you know, right now I'm not vaccinated, you're not vaccinated, okay? And you're in a high-risk demographic. I would hate for something to happen to you, all right? That's what I said. And then she went, oh, sweetie, I'm high risk and high reward. So I just stuck to my buddy like glue. Anywhere he went is where I went in the house. I was right behind him everywhere he went. I just didn't want to be left alone with her again, because that means she's aggressive, okay? And I'm not gonna lie, she old, but I think she faking it. Because she's old, but she's fast. Because we would leave the room, and she wouldn't be in the room with us at all, and I would turn around, she'd just be right behind me. I'm like, are you running? How are you doing this? But she was behind me, and she pinched my butt. And pinching butts is that old lady sexual harassment that nobody cares about, you know? Even if I tell people, like, she got me, all right? They're like, well, she's 85. You should have been faster, okay? Honestly, just move. But she did. She pinched my butt and then whispered in my ear, you firm like my mattress. It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. I am going to leave. And so I left, and I don't know how, but she got my number. I think she got it out of my buddy's phone when he wasn't paying attention. And she has been sending me non-stop thirst traps, okay? But they're granny thirst traps, so it's just pictures of food that she cooked. But still, there is innuendo involved, you know? She sent me a picture of a cobbler and then texted me under it, I could break you off some if you want to come on through. I was like, I am going to throw my phone in the river. I hate this way more than I love my phone.
Did y'all see the Alabama brawl? Yo. Who knew Wakanda was in Alabama? That was crazy. You know, that was wild. So many people came out of nowhere. That shit was like Black January 6th. That was like... That was crazy. If you didn't see the video, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'll explain it really quick. Basically, there was this one guy. He was an employee of the place, right? And he was like asking these people to move their boat, you know? So it was a black employee, but he was asking these people who happened to be white that had the boat to move their boat, and they wouldn't move the boat. I don't even know if this part is true, but I heard that the riverfront boat that was waiting to dock had been waiting for like 40 minutes because these people refused to move, right? So finally, he just keeps going, like, you gotta move the boat, you gotta move the boat. They get out of their boat, they're cursing at him, and he's not backing down. He's like, you have to move the boat. I work here, you have to move the boat. And then they just keep cursing at him. Finally, they put hands on him, and then they start fighting him. And he did his best. He held his own for quite a while. So it's not like they beat his ass, but they were clearly ganging up on this dude, right? And, you know, a lot of people, as soon as they saw the video, they got upset. I got upset when I thought it was going to bum me out, just seeing like 5 white dudes ganging up on this like middle-aged black dude and everything. And some people were upset about the racial part immediately, but I'm not gonna lie, I was distracted. I wasn't. I didn't hate these people because they were ganging up on them and they were white. I hated them because they had a boat. You know what I mean? This isn't just a race thing. These rich fucks with a boat are trying to beat up a working class person. Is insane. You know, made me furious. And then they started fighting them, and then like other people came, and you know a lot of black people already saw what was happening. So then when the Riverfront boat docked and other black people who saw what was happening, they all just swarmed. It looked like like that one episode in Game of Thrones where you know they were losing, but then just more just came down the mountain. It was like I was like, God damn, okay, wow, send in the troops apparently. I should back up. When the fight started, the initial fight where the dude was getting ganged up on, he just threw his hat. Just threw it, and that almost felt like a signal. That was, as a black person, I didn't know that was our call to arms. I didn't know this was like, oh, okay, all right, we go now. That was wild to begin with. Then it was crazy because then so many people swarmed in, it turned into a huge brawl, and I don't know if you saw a video, but there was one person that wanted to help when they saw him getting jumped so badly that this nigga swam. Jumped in the water. From the camera angle, we don't know where he came from. I'd like to think he came from Africa. I'd like to think he started swimming 6 weeks ago in preparation. Because look, if you know, the history of black people swimming, especially in the South, you know that we're not known for it. You know what I mean? And so I'm not gonna critique his swimming because I was just happy to see another black dude swim. That's just, every one of us swimming is a W, okay? But I do have to comment, because he wasn't swimming normal. Did you see him swim? He wasn't swimming regular. This was not regular swimming, right? This man wasn't swimming to the fight. This man was punching the water till he got there. I knew he was gonna whoop ass when he got out of the water, because he would. I've never seen someone punch water till they got to their location. That was so crazy. Go back and watch the video. This man punching with horsepower. Like, I've never seen anything like it. And then he gets out of the water, starts whooping ass, everybody whooping ass and everything. So you know that those white people, when it started fighting, then started more fighting, you know they were relieved when the cops got there, but they must have been conflicted, because half the cops were black. Like, that's a situation where even when the cops arrive, you're like, ooh, whose side are you on? Because I was kind of doing a thing before you got here. You know what I mean? Honestly, that's what's so wild. Because I think also, I've tried to put my mind in, I've tried to put myself in the mind of each person that was in the video in a way. Do you know what I mean? Because that's a terrifying thing. To get jumped is a terrifying thing. Then the person swimming. Then I'm just trying to think about every angle that I could think about it from. I'm not gonna lie. That must have been a huge surprise, because you out here ganging up on this one dude with your buddies, and then before you know it, there's just like 50 black people. That's Listen, I'm telling you right now, let's say y'all just blinked, and when you opened your eyes, there were 50 black people behind me. I'm not even saying you'd be scared, but you'd be surprised. You'd be like, wow, that was fast. That's all you'd say. You know? Because that's the thing. That's, I think, the strangest part. One of the one of the weirdest parts, like when you start watching the video, let's say you start watching the video, you had no context, nobody told you what was gonna happen, you hadn't seen any of the memes yet. The craziest thing about what happens is that, especially as a black person, I think some people are curious why black people have been memeing the shit out of it and everything. It's because if you know the South and you know the history of 5 white guys ganging up on a black guy and how that usually goes, you know, especially when they have enough money for a boat. Usually doesn't turn out well, you know what I mean? And so this was a different thing. This is a different outcome than we've ever really seen before, you know? Because I'll be honest with you. Let's say we're in a different time and there's no camera phones and they were able to leave before the cops got there. They would have just beat up that dude and left, you know? And that's my thing where it's like, okay, yeah, whoop their ass, we all laugh, we all celebrate, whatever, but like, fuck up that boat. Like, fuck up the... What are you doing? Like, bust up the bow or something. Like, rip a rudder out, please. I do think that would hurt them more than the ass whooping. They just be standing there and looking like skippers. Not the boat! You know? I used to work at a grocery store in a bad neighborhood. This is a terrible job. I lived in Chicago and I worked at this grocery store. It was horrible, right? And the thing I hate most about working at a grocery store is not good is the security not good. Because then security, anytime something would happen, the security would walk up to me and talk about what we're gonna do about it. Bro, I do this. You do this. And, all right, look, just hear me out. There was a guy who would come into our store, and he didn't come in often. It'd be like once every 2 months, maybe even once every 4 months if you were lucky. But this guy was crazy. And when he came in, he'd come in and he would fuck the lettuce. I know you wondering how, let me explain. It didn't have to just be lettuce, but it was anything he could cut a hole in, he'd go to town, right? I worked there. What are y'all groaning about? I had to see this. And so this dude, man, he would come in, cut a hole, go to town. Security guard come up to me. Security guard came up to me one time and was like, he's back. I was like, that's a you problem. And I don't know. This like dude was clearly not all there in the head and everything, but yeah, he would just come in, he'd catch a melon or something like that, and just make juice. Like this dude was. I know. But a security guard came up to me and was like, he's back, so I'm gonna need your help. I was like, all right, what do you need me to do? And he was like, so we're gonna walk on either side of him, right? We're gonna walk, so he's here, we're gonna walk either side, so we're sort of like, you know, and he was like, I'm gonna need you to run interference. And he said it like it was a real thing. I should know what that means or whatever. Like, and so we get to the point where we're both walking either side of him. And he looks over at me. This dude is distracted. This dude
This dude doesn't know what's going on in the world. This dude is fully with the lettuce, right? And locked in. And the security guard go. And I'm like, what does that mean? Like, he's acting like he gave me a plan. There's no plan. I don't know what this means. And so he's like, So finally, I just yell out, I'm like, hey, dude fucking the lettuce. And that dude turned around and faced me, and when he faced me, I was like, tackle him. And then he did. He tackled him. Got that dude to the ground. And you gotta give credit where credit is due, okay? You do. To the security guard and to this dude, because this dude was so hard when he got up, the lettuce was still on him. That is crazy. I don't know if I've ever been that hard in my life. This dude got up, hands being held. Like, it's not like he can help out for a quick second. Terrifying. I've been thinking a lot about the way that couples fight. Do you know what I mean? Like the way, just the tactics we use, and like, look, I want to be clear. I truly believe this. I've even said on stage before. Everybody is doing everything. Don't like listen to people getting in your ear. Everybody's doing everything. Everybody gaslights. Everybody, you know, all this stuff like that. So I'm not saying that one thing can only be to one person with one identity. I'm just saying, like, I've just watched, and I feel like I just don't like fighting in a relationship, because I date women, and women wait. It's terrifying. Women will let you think you won a whole fight, and then it's coming soon. And you don't even know what it is. It's not been planned yet, but it's gonna happen. My uncle got in an argument with his wife, and I don't even know what it was about, but must have been feeling himself, because when the argument was done, he'd walk around, man of the house. He middle-aged, so he pulling that belt up a little higher. And sure enough, he called me one day. This is apparently weeks after the fight. My man calls me, and he's like, I'm gonna need you to pick me up. I need you to pick me up, come get me, I need some help, young blood, like I just said. And I was like, what's wrong? And he's like, okay, so we had a little argument, all right? So we had a quick little argument, and I thought everything was fine, but it's the day to take me to the optometrist, because I broke my glasses, and she talking about she not gonna take me. And I told her, I'm like, baby, I'm blind. Come on now. And she over here talking about you don't deserve to see. Like, y'all have been phenomenal. Thank you so much. I'm Josh.
I had to take a flight. Another fear that's creeping towards the top of the list is tiny planes. I had to take a tiny plane. I didn't think it would be a big deal. It only seated 8 people. It's the tiniest plane I've ever been on. And it was so small that there was no cockpit. So I could see the captain and the co-pilot. I could hear both of them. At one point during the flight, the captain was like, whoa! I was like, what? Oh my God, what? No, don't act like I can't hear you, sir. We're talking right now, okay? Do I need to get up ahead? Don't tell me to sit down. I can't stand up. The plane's not that big. And I should have known something was wrong, because I got to the gate and they wanted to weigh my carry-ons. Which never happens. But I was like, fine, backpack's 13 pounds, laptop's 4 pounds with the case. And then they were like, how much do you weigh? And I was like, how small is the plane? How small is the plane? You need to know my 125-pound body weighs 125 pounds. And then I get to the plane, I'm like, that makes sense, okay. Fair enough, it's the smallest plane I've ever been on. And like, it took, like this plane, I know it's not nice, I know it's not kind, but like, I was the youngest person on this flight by far. Everyone else was 80 and up. So a real thought I had on the flight was, this is heaven's waiting room. I gotta get out of here. This is terrible. She already looked dead. Her soul just had to step out to get to heaven. I wanna be up here with people dying. And you know that overhead compartment that's supposed to drop an air mask if there's too much turbulence? That's not there at all. It's just little Bibles fall out because you're gonna die. So you might as well get a verse in or something. You're dead, okay? It was terrible. And like, we were flying, and like I was having these heart palpitations and everything. I didn't know if I would last or anything. And then I don't know how planes work, okay? I can't pretend. I'm not a genius, all right? But at least the big planes take off right away. It took this little plane so long to take off, I thought we were gonna drive there. This plane is actually leaving the ground and coming back down, and leaving the ground and coming back down, to the point where I looked at the pilot and I was like, do we all need to jump at the same time? What's gonna keep me in the air? I just wanna get to the place, please. Guys, I'm Josh Johnson. Thanks so much. You have a great night. Appreciate it.
I had a hard time in lockdown. I really did. In quarantine, it was hard. It was really, really hard. Because it made a liar out of me. It did. Because I've always said, my entire life, if I just had the time. Oh, if I had the time, I'd learn another language. I'd get ripped. I'd learn how to build a house. Turns out, if you lock me in my room for 9 months, I won't do any of those things. I would just rather watch TV until I fall asleep in succession. I watched TV and fell asleep so many times that the only way that I knew if I ate was if I woke up with Dorito dust on my collar. I was just waking up middle of the day, just, oh, thank God, That became my life. My life just became screens, nonstop. It was either my phone or my computer or my TV, nonstop. I was either on the internet or I was watching something, and it got to be a lot. It got to the point where I knew I needed to take a break, you know? So I decided to do it. I put everything down, I turned everything off, and I just sat in my room, and I would just sit and I would think. Just try to be alone with myself in a quiet place, like suss myself out, get to know what I'm really about in here. And that was a terrible mistake. It was one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life. First of all, I'm just sitting thinking. I'm not thinking after reading. I'm just thinking raw-ass thoughts. These aren't good thoughts. These are just things I'd normally be too distracted by TV to think. And they were real dumb. And that was heartbreaking. It was. I always thought if I just sat and thought, I'd come up with a theory or something. And I was just sitting there like, oh my God, all of these things are dumb. Am I dumb? Is this how dumb people find out?